Okay, my name is Carrie Clone Lawrence. I'm currently in Madrid, and I have been keeping an eye on this virtual world that we are getting into in theater, because I have been long distance from most of my colleagues for about the past 10 years. I've been teaching online. I have also directed a show online. Recently, I've been doing a lot more directing. And what I've seen and heard is people wanting to devise work, whether they are in charge of a theater company or they are a professor, which I am as well. And so I thought, why not put together a laboratory where we can all explore and learn from each other, and maybe not reinvent the wheel 10 times, but try to put out some work that might be more interesting than a staged reading, which we have seen a lot of recently. And so this is going to be a beautiful mess. We are going to try a lot of different things, and I encourage you to take notes, because I want to hear your feedback, and I'm going to incorporate that into our work next week, into the homework and the tasks. And we are expecting to fail a lot. I have already, we've already been trying a couple of things just with our short meeting that we had earlier this week, and even in preparing to greet you today. Some things are working on some people's computers and not, and we're definitely learning as we go. So I am not a devising expert. I don't know if anyone can ever profess to be such, because every project is so different and unique. And I wanted this to be a laboratory because I wanted to focus on the experimental nature of it, and not a workshop where I am teaching. I do have my methods, and I do have some tasks that I am very interested in for my particular style and purpose. If you took a look at the documents that I sent to everyone, I did outline some particularities to the purpose and style of this particular production. And I picked Little Red Riding Hood because recently I created a worksheet with some of these tasks and some resources in order to help people. And I've used some of these, but I don't have recordings of them, which is one of the reasons that I'm recording today, is to be able to share that information to a wider audience. You can obviously use any material. I'm jumping off with Little Red Riding Hood because I use that a lot in teaching, and primarily because everyone has a sense of that story, or pretty much everyone. We are going to be going through this process, which is called Fast and Dirty, which is neither fast, but it will be dirty. The reason that I call it fast is that I was trying to find a way to get into the material quickly, as far as like accessing a starting point. But we will, as one of my favorite directors, Anne Bogart, says, we will be making haste slowly, moving forward with purpose, which is why we have identified the purpose and style of our particular production, which is postmodern by nature. We are looking at all of these little boxes, so we're going to embrace that. And we're looking at the story of how Little Red Riding Hood becomes wolf. And so we have 4 reds here, four Red Riding Hoods, if you will. And we'll be looking at the journey of how they become wolf. And that is the focus of our work. Let's see, what else? If you have to leave the room for any reason, something happens with your connection, etc., you're welcome to come back to the session. You'll just need to wait in the waiting room until we take a break, and then I will be letting people in between the tasks and the work. I plan on sending out a link to this afterwards, so that you'll be able to access the video, and also a survey So if you don't get your comments out, we're going to have 15 minutes at the end for some feedback and reactions. And if you don't get your comments out there, or if you don't get a chance to chat them, you have like an epiphany later in the week, then I encourage you to fill out that survey and continue the conversation so that we can prepare for the session on the following Saturday. I think that's pretty much it. I'm going to be, in just a moment, leading you into a view where we'll be focused on the four people the four ensemble members. But before that, are there any questions or thoughts from anyone? No? Okay. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to keep your mics off for the duration of the work session, which will be for the next hour, and to turn your videos off. And in the upper right-hand corner of your video or anyone else's video box, you're going to see 3 dots. And if you select in those 3 dots, you will see an option for hiding non-video participants. And so if you can put yourself into gallery view, we're going to flip back and forth. You'll hear me ask you to go from gallery view or speaker view. But if you can go right now into gallery view, and if all of the non-video participants are hidden, you should only be seeing myself and the 4 ensemble members.
I'm sorry, how do you hide non-video again?
If you go into anyone's picture box, there are 3 dots, and if you click on one of those 3 dots, or the 3 dots, you should see a menu.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, did anyone else have a problem doing that? Okay, I'm also
Hi, sorry, yeah,
yes.
I've been having, I'm calling in from my phone.
Yes.
I can't see that, the hide the participants.
I think on the phone it's down at the bottom. Like you can, if you swipe right, you can scroll through the different views, and I think the controls are down at the bottom on the phone.
Okay, let me see.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
I hid myself accidentally, and now I can't find myself.
Okay. If you go to where your video is, you should be able to turn back on your video. So there is an option for hide self view. You don't want that one. You want hide non-video participants.
Yeah, no, I just don't know how to bring me back. But
well, since you're on right now, if you just turn off your own video, then right. Okay. Okay, and Kendra, you can go ahead and take yourself off video as well. And I'm going to take myself off video as well. So the first task we're going to be looking at, and all of you directors have both the prompts and some rough direction ideas. And this again is just very rough. I may or may not be following this, but these were some of my ideas of some of the things that we wanted to try. So the very first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to ask one of the Reds to present their Tableau prompt. And then I will ask them I will give them a little bit of direction, and then we'll move on. And then I'm going to look at all of it together and start to play around with that. Okay, so who of the Reds would like to begin? Lydia looks like she's ready to. Carla's pointing.
She does.
I was just playing around with the thing because it's like the virtual background's weird right
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
We're
it's
going to learn a
fun.
lot about the virtual backgrounds. Okay, so Rachel, Carla, and Kendra, you guys can hide your video.
Oh, I am
Can I
going
hide my
first.
video?
Okay.
I push
Hold on
hide
one second.
view. Is that what I hide? The hide self view?
No, start video or stop video at the
Stop.
bottom. Yeah.
Ah. Mute myself.
There we go. Okay,
Carrie,
so,
do you want me to keep this background on even though you can't see the chair?
yeah, that's okay. We're going to
Okay.
play around with it.
Okay.
Okay, so when you're ready.
And would you just like me to go to Tableau 1 and then wait for you to say Tableau 2?
No, you can work your way through all 5.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
Okay, thank you. So I don't know if it's possible to bring your chair closer because it seems like where it is, this may or may not make any difference to, because where you are right now, I can see you great.
Yeah, and there's the chair, and it's still not.
Can you sit on the chair just for a second? We might just turn it off altogether, the virtual background, but no, yeah, that's great. Okay, can you go through the Tableau one more time?
Yes. Okay. You ready?
Yep. Okay, thank you very much. Would you mind, you can turn off your video, and Rachel, would you mind sharing with us?
Video on.
I want to try Rachel because she's got a different virtual background and I'm curious to see.
I actually had trouble working with the forest one. That's why I switched.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Just let me know when you're ready.
Anytime you're ready. Nice. Okay. Can we see that one more time?
Yes, let me reset.
And if the rest of the ensemble, if you guys could work on possibly changing to this background, maybe we'll test out this background for the next couple of rounds. Oh, you can keep your video off though.
All right.
Thank you very much. Carla, would you mind turning on your video? And Rachel, you could turn yours off. Wow, thank you. Okay, when you're ready, would you mind resetting and going through just one more time? Thank you. Okay, so Lydia and Rachel, would you mind putting back on your video? Okay, so what I'd like to do for this round is have you go through your 5 tableaux all at the same time, just starting at the top to the end. And if you could go through 2 times.
Would you be able to say Tableau 1, Tableau 2, Tableau 3? Just because I think we're all maybe on different times.
Yeah.
And that might help us keep it on the same level.
Sure, we can try that. Okay, are you all prepared for number 1? I'm gonna do a Tableau 1 and then like just think internally like a 3 count, and then moving on to the next one. Okay. Tableau 1. Tableau 2. Tableau 3. Tableau 4. Tableau 5. Okay, good. You guys can relax for a second. So instead of doing the same thing this time, what I'd like to do is ask each of you, who was red 1?
Me.
Red 1 is Rachel. Red 2 is Carla. Red 3 is Lydia. So as we go through this round, we'll go from 1, 2, 3. And you don't have to wait for all 3 people to finish before you start number 2. So Rachel, you're going to start number 1, and then Carla, you will start after Rachel does, and then Lydia, you will start after Carla does. Okay?
So
give your
we start from our beginning, or we
Yes.
start with?
No, start from your beginning, and you're going to work your way through all 5, but kind
It's
of
like
in
row your boat.
wave. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, when you're ready, Rachel. Okay, very interesting. Thank you very much for that. I'd like to ask Kendra to join us. Hi, Kendra. if you're willing, in this round, what I would like is just listening and response. You can use the 5 tableau or a variation of the 5 tableau in order to listen and respond to the other reds. So
I respond in Tableau form?
no, you can respond. You can respond however you want in a gesture, or you could mimic. That's the other option here, is that you could mirror.
Are vocals included or just pictures right now?
You could include vocals if you were so inclined, but that's not a necessity. So basically, what I'm looking for is that you're going to be using the Tableau or the other red's Tableau to affect you, listen and respond. But if you want to respond with one of your own Tableau, or if you want to respond with their gesture, you can. Okay? So,
Do you want us all going at the same time, or do you want one at a time?
I think let's try all 4 of you to begin with, and then I might maybe narrow that down. Okay, so you can pick any of the Tableau you would like as a starting place, and whoever feels the motivation to start.
So we don't have to go in order this time? Oh, right. Sorry, Carla. Carla's on it. You lead the way. Go ahead, girl.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Like that.
Why don't we go ahead and take the virtual backgrounds off? Give everyone a break from that for a few minutes. Okay, so the next thing I want to do, one more piece of direction just with this, just to see how this works, is that I want to look at the audience relationship as far as are you, yeah, I'm not going to give you any more direction than that. So, so what I'd like is for, let's look at Rachel and Lydia. So Kendra and Carla, if you guys could take yourselves off video. Perfect. Okay, so for the two of you, I want you to think about audience relationship, and I want you to think about both your relationship with your scene partner, who is right here, and the larger audience, as far as, you know, who's watching you. So I'd like you to go through your Tableau one more time. But if that means altering your Tableau in some way in order to communicate more clearly, more specifically with your scene partner or the larger audience, then I invite you to do that. And so for this one, I would like it just to go back and forth between number one, number two, etc. Who would like to begin?
I'll begin.
Okay.
That feels right.
Okay, that was super interesting. Very interesting, very interesting. Okay. Just out of curiosity, Rachel, actually, can we just add Carla? Technology.
My mouse wasn't working.
That's okay. Okay. And this time, who I'd like to run the same exercise. Who would like to start this time?
I can start. I don't mind.
Okay.
And Carrie, for this, do you want us to just organically respond when we feel it, or do you still want us to go in order? You know,
no,
so
there's no order.
okay, I see.
Wow. Okay. All right. That was pretty cool. I'm just going to say that. So yeah, definitely some things to be decided here as far as backgrounds, virtual or not, space, lighting, some things to explore and think about with that. But that right there was pretty exciting. Okay, I'd like to move on because we do have 2 other tasks to get to that I want to explore, and this one I know is a real giant question mark for me, which is, here, I'll let you see me because that's probably weird, the God mic, which is music, right? Which we talked about as being not necessarily a song you hear on the radio, but a leitmotif or something that the character would be able to use in order to communicate, or that we might be able to use in order to communicate about another character, for example. So who would like to share? And I'm just going to leave us all up here at the moment, because it's just a sharing of the music, if you will, that you explored.
Carrie, is it okay if I switch back over to my computer since we're not doing virtual?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I can start, or we can wait for her, either way.
Let's see if she's going to pop back in here.
Here I am.
Yeah, we know. We got you. Whoa.
That's the problem with the multiple devices.
Technology.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, so we'll each share the music, and then I'm going to invite Kendra back in, and then we're going to do some more playing around with that, because I think that Zoom has some particular challenges where sound is concerned, and we'll just play around and see what works. Okay, Rachel, when you're ready.
So the song that I chose is a song from my childhood. When I was little, I actually had a Red Riding Hood cloak, and my dad would sing the song by Shim Sham is the artist, and it's called Little Red Riding Hood. And it's very guttural. It's very like that kind of thing. So when I was doing the music, it got very like physical music, like pounding on things and like clapping and stuff. So I don't know how well that's going to translate to this.
Okay. Well, we thank you for alerting us. We'll turn the volume down just a little bit, and I say go for it.
And it's definitely, I don't have anything like specifically written. It's kind of just coming to me each time. So it's going to be different every time. Cool.
Excellent.
That's what I got.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, Carla or Lydia?
Lydia. I don't know if
So,
I did this
okay,
right.
There's no right.
A lot of
There's no
trouble.
right. Yeah.
I had a lot of trouble with this particular task because the same song just kept coming back into my head, which is, okay, so the song that keeps resonating with me for this is Hallelujah. And I don't, so I'm just going to go with it.
Do it.
So, okay.
Thank you.
So, so I found music because making music was like, I don't like the way I sound when I hum. No. So I found music that fit to me where I was coming from with my tableaux and my. So is that okay? Because I tried to hum.
How dare you?
Huh?
How dare you?
That's all right. Let's hear it.
It is. Here we go. Hold on.
Okay.
Sorry about.
No, thank you. Okay, so one of the things that one of the reasons that I wanted you to bring in your own sound, and I'm glad I heard that because I know now, Carla, what you're working with. But what I found is that playing sound over Zoom can be tricky, and I'm always more interested in actor initiated movement, sound, etc. So so what I'd like to try is to see Rachel and then Lydia go through your tableau, but incorporating your music individually. And then I'm going to see about maybe trying to put the two of you together. And then Carla, I'm going to invite you and Kendra to come in on a more kinesthetic response, listening and responding to what's going on. Okay, so let's look at Rachel first, incorporating her music. So if the others could shut off their videos.
I'm gonna get ready. Hold on. There we go. Ready?
Yep. I love that chuckle at the end there. I love to hear the response too. Okay, thank you so much. Lydia?
That was rad. Kara, do you want the background back on?
No, you don't need it. That was cool to see from Rachel though, because that works. Hers was working pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so what I'd like to try this time is, Carla, if we could see you with your Tableau. And Lydia, would you mind responding to Carla's Tableau with your music? So you can take your video off. So we'll see Carla, but we'll hear you.
You should mute yours, Carla. Is it on mute? That would be. Okay, that was really sick. That was really cool.
Okay, Carla, you can turn your mic back on.
It's awesome. I like that.
Okay, can I see Rachel and Lydia? Carla, you can take yourself off video. Okay, and I'd like to try running both of yours at the same time. I feel like this is going to fail because I think that sound-wise we can only listen to one thing at the same time. So it might sound completely strange. But let's try and fail triumphantly. Okay, interesting. That actually turned out better than I thought it would. We're going to play around more with this next week because we will be working more with text. And so the call and response and the listening and responding in that way. But that was super interesting. Thank you very much for sharing all of that. I would like to move on so that we have enough time to explore the last task. Which is character and your gestures. So we'll go through once again sharing each person. Rachel, you can keep your virtual background on because it seems to be working pretty well for you. And Lydia and Carla, you guys can just leave your backgrounds off for the moment. Who would like to share their character prompt first? Okay. Rachel? Okay, so you guys can shut off your videos. Lydia and
Do you want me
Carla?
to say the word with the gesture or do them separately?
Yes. No, together. Yeah, together.
Okay.
And then the physical reset of walking around the chair too.
Okay. Let me get some more room for my chair.
Great.
Yeah, okay. Sincere. Trusting. Betrayed.
Okay, could we see that one more time, please?
Sincere. Trusting. Betrayed.
Okay, thank you. Lydia or Carla?
I have a tiny, tiny corner. Okay. And then I'm not tall enough either. So. Fluid. Sharp. So.
Okay, one more time, please.
Fluid. Sharp. So.
Okay, thank you. Lydia? And then after Lydia's sharing, I'm gonna ask all four of you to come on and we're gonna do some improv.
Enamored. Destroyed. Revenged.
Okay, one more time, please.
Enamored. Destroyed. Revenged.
Okay, great. So could I ask Rachel and Carla to come back on, please? And we'll add Kendra in for the next exercise after this. But for all three of you, if you could go through two rounds, and I'd like you to play with volume, not just volume as in loud or soft, but volume as in larger or smaller, and simultaneously. Sorry, Carla, to make it.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so there's no real leader or follower here.
Sincere.
Enamored. Destroyed.
Trusting.
Revenged.
Sharp.
Betrayed.
So.
Enamored. Destroyed.
Sincere.
Fluid.
Revenged.
Sharp. Soft.
Betrayed.
Fluid. Sharp. Soft.
Okay, thank you. Kendra, would you mind joining us? Okay, so for this round, I would like for one person to start. Again, no real leaders or followers. But when the first person starts, then the other three will respond. So kind of mirroring, but in your own character. So it doesn't have to be the exact movement and, you know, said the exact same way.
Do you want the same word though?
Yes. At the moment, the same word. So responding physically in your own specific character, but using the word that the first character used. And then after that that character speaks, another character who has the motivation to speak will just let it go for a few rounds.
And Carrie, do you want us to make sure that everybody has a turn in the rotation before somebody else speaks, or does that not matter?
No, that doesn't matter.
Fluid.
Aw, sincere.
Fluid.
Enamored.
Sharp.
Trusting.
Sincere.
Destroyed.
Betrayed.
Destroyed.
Revenged.
Fluid.
Sincere.
Revenge.
Enamored.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, so for this round, instead of just sticking with your own words, listen for words that you want to respond to or that you identify with. You don't have to say every single word, but the ones that you identify with as your character, then you can respond with the same word, even if it's not your own, one of your own three words. Does that make sense? So you have your three words that you can use, but you can also use any of the other words that are being offered to you to respond.
Okay. Got
Okay?
it.
Okay.
Yes.
Like
Fluid.
Sincere.
Enamored.
Revenged.
enamored.
Fluid.
Destroyed.
Fluid.
Destroyed.
Trusting.
Revenged.
Enamored.
Destroyed.
Sincere.
Hammered.
Enamored.
Enamored.
Trusting.
Enamored.
Destroyed.
Revenged.
Soft.
Destroyed.
Destroyed.
Let's stop for a moment. I hear somebody's cat participating. It's
Meow.
fantastic.
That's totally mine. I'm so sorry.
Of course it is.
It's Jackson.
Okay, can I ask Rachel and Kendra to stay? We're gonna continue this type of exercise. So Lydia and Carla, you guys can take a break. And so again, same kind of idea. You can use. Well, actually, Kendra, you don't have your own three at the moment, so it's just going to be listening and responding to Rachel. Okay.
Should I incorporate the other words that other people were using, or just stay with?
Let's just stick with your three to see what happens. Yeah.
Sincere.
Sincere.
Trusting.
Trusting.
Betrayed.
Betrayed.
Sincere.
Sincere.
Trusting.
Trusting.
Okay, good. Can we try a round with no words, just the movement? Okay, good. Thank you. Can I ask Carla and Lydia to rejoin?
Do you want us to stop?
No, I want you guys to stay. I want all 4 of you. Okay, so this time I'm going to ask somebody else to start. Let me ask Lydia if you could start. And all 3 are going to respond just to Lydia, just using her 3 words. Okay, so she'll offer you the word. All 3 of you are going to respond to her, vocally and physically. Okay, when you're ready.
Enamored.
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 Destroyed.
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 Revenged.
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 Enamored.
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 Destroyed.
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 Revenged.
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 Okay, thank you. Can we try that one more time? This time, just the movement. We'll take the words out. Okay, thank you. Very interesting. Okay, so I want to try one more thing, which is to put Rachel and Kendra together as partners and Lydia and Carla as partners. And so for the first round, to go through just movements. So you'll just be reacting to each other movement-wise, but you'll be using your own, Rachel, you'll be using your own 3 words, and Lydia, you'll be using your own 3 words, okay? So just concentrating on your own scene partner.
Am I doing Lydia's words?
Yes.
Lydia's words.
Just, yeah, but for this round, just the movement, no vocal.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And could we try one more round? That was some real scene work going on there. Can we try one more round? This time, go ahead and put the vocals back in. So there will be 2 different sets of vocals going on.
This will be fun.
Words. Sincere.
Enamored.
Enamored.
Trusting.
Destroyed.
Destroyed.
Revenged.
Revenged.
Betrayed.
Betrayed.
Enamored.
Sincere.
Enamored.
Sincere.
Trusting.
Destroyed.
Trusting.
Destroyed.
Betrayed.
Betrayed.
Revenged.
Sincere.
Revenge.
Sincere.
Trusting.
Trusting.
Enamored.
Betrayed.
Betrayed.
Enamored.
Sincere.
Destroyed.
Destroyed.
Trusting.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is fantastic, everyone. I think we can invite all of the directors to turn back on your mics and your videos, or at least your videos. And
Oh yeah, there's other people here.
Oh my gosh,
I forgot.
We were in our world.
And pretty much everyone's still here, so I guess they were interested in what we were doing. It was so I'm going to give you guys a chance to give some feedback to the ensemble and to tell us what stands out, what you were excited by, if there were any moments, or if you're like, this is never going to work, I'm never ever going to try this at home. But first, before we hear from the directors, I would like to just hear a little bit from the ensemble members, if there was anything that frustrated you or things that you got really excited about. I know some of you have been involved in some of these online virtual festivals and that kind of thing too, and this might be a little different than some of the work you've been doing. So who of the ensemble would like to share any lessons learned? Lydia?
Yeah, a couple of things. I really like playing with other people. Because most of the virtual stuff that I've been doing has all been like monologues, and while it's cool to be able to work virtually with a director, to be able to play with other actors is kind of, I miss it so much, so I'm grateful for it for sure. And the exercise that I had the most difficulty with homework-wise, the music thing, was actually the exercise that resonated the most with me. Like, I really loved being able to be part of a scene, being able to do that music. And I like hated it when I was doing it for homework. I was like, this sucks, I'm gonna suck at this. So it was kind of cool to, you know, the difference when you've got other people involved. So.
Okay. Yeah, Carla.
I'm gonna piggyback off of Lydia. This was pretty awesome. This is my second virtual experience, and I like playing with adults too. So, but my challenge was the music. My original first love is dance. So my thing to do with music is to move to music. And I thought I made it more difficult than what it was. However, by working with the ensemble, I found my place. So I know what my strengths are, and I know where they're not. So, but I felt when I did that, when Lydia and Rachel, when we did that, I felt like that's where I was supposed to be. Not making the music with my beats and my body and stuff, because it just rolled, it just flowed perfectly. So it was a challenge, like Lydia said at first. It was like homework. I was like, ugh, I don't know what this, I just don't get this. I'm just gonna go find some music on YouTube. So, but
well, and that's the beauty, the sweetness of devising, right? Is that we encounter these challenges and then figure out how to proceed through them. And, you know, ensemble wise, thank you so much for sharing that, Carla. Awesome. Anyone else want to
Yeah,
Rachel?
I'm going to agree with that as well. Like, it's really nice to be able to be reacting to something and not just presenting something virtually. I think the things that worked best, in my opinion, were the ones where it was one or two of us interacting, because when there was more than 2 or 3, it seemed to get a little, like, it was hard to focus on one or combine it. When there were 2 or 1 of us, it was a really cohesive story. And I loved when, like, Lydia was doing the sound for Carla, and like Carla said, once we put them all together, they fit. Individually, it was like, I don't know how this is gonna work, but I'm unemployed, so I had a lot of time to work on this, you know? Fun now. But it was really interesting just seeing it all come together, and like the little things you were adding to it, and not knowing where it was gonna go with our prepared work and seeing what came out of it. It was very cool.
Great. Kendra, do you have anything to add, considering that, you know, you just jumped in completely blindly to this, which would happen, you know, in a classroom situation, for example?
Yeah, it's interesting. Having really no clue what I was getting into here, I kind of seen the potential. I have done a lot of improv in the past and seen the potential for doing improv. Again, I think with one other person, this does seem to work. With an ensemble, it's a little tricky unless it's really well choreographed, who's going to go back and forth. But
right.
There's a lot there that can be explored for sure.
Excellent. So I invite all of the directors now to think about, you know, any feedback you might have. I also invite you to chat if you don't want to speak right now in front of everyone, or if you want to fill out the survey later, if you're still like processing what you saw. But I would love to hear if you have any strong reactions. Emmy?
Yeah. Yes. Hello.
Hi.
That was really great to watch. I think a moment that I really loved, Rachel, your play with the light, also you positioning yourself right by the light switch and the switch to the flashlight, that really worked for me, and I loved adding that design element. Something that I think was maybe fell flat was in the tableaus when people moved away from the screen. One, if your face was covered, you blended the background. And also, I feel like the kinesthetic response wasn't as strong as in the up-close gestures because you couldn't see each other. So I felt like it was more people going through the motions rather than affecting each other. But then you did that gesture section, and when you were all looking at each other's faces and having words to react off of each other, there was so much more connection. So congratulations on finding a way to make that happen online. That was it.
Thank you so much for those observations. I have a lot to think about as far as the frame, and yeah, exactly. Other thoughts? Reaction?
Quick question.
Carly? Who had a question? Sorry.
Sorry, just quick question.
Oh, Julie. Yeah.
I don't know if there's a practical tool to play back what was just recorded during a Zoom meeting. Like, is there a way for them to see what they just did?
Oh, wow.
As far as, I mean, I'm recording the session right now, if that's what you mean. So yeah.
A way to, like, I guess you'd have to stop the meeting and then go back and have them watch it off before they could come back. I guess my question is there a logical way to do it within the time frame? But probably not.
So you're talking about like creating choreography where then we go back and look at something to kind of set it, if you will. Go ahead.
Or even in the moment, or even in this rehearsal moment, like if you could just pause the meeting, have them go look at what they just did, so they have that reference. And then
basically,
right back into
so what I find, what I find with this kind of work is because it's completely created by the individual, that it's really accessible. And so instead of having them look at something that was recorded, I would just ask them to do it again and try to retain as much of the content as possible. You know, it's never going to be exactly the same, but you know, picking out or pointing out certain things that I really liked or wanted to keep, I would ask them to repeat it until it became choreography and muscle memory. And so this would be a much, you know, having in the beginning, you know, I said fast and dirty, but then I said make haste slowly, right? So these 3 tasks could easily take 1 or 2 sessions each, as far as going through and mining material. I mean, I was working a little bit quickly here to see what is possible, so that then we can go back and build on all of these different pieces and not just move from one thing to the next. But I would definitely ask the actor to, okay, that was great. Let's try to go back and retain as much of that. I don't like to use repeat because I don't like them just to go through the motions of, mechanically repeating something. But does that make sense?
Yeah, and I actually was wondering, not about setting it so you could do it later, but just for them literally to see each other. Like, they can't see each other if they're doing it, right? So right. I just didn't know if they could see what they were doing and how it actually was affecting or not affecting the other person's action.
You could play with something maybe like screencast or something like that, where you're recording it and then sharing, something like that, I think.
Carl actually just put something in the chat about browser extensions that allowed you to do that stuff.
Oh,
so
awesome! This is why I want to hear feedback, so we can learn from each other. Awesome.
Actually, I just reinstalled my Mac from scratch, so I don't have the browser extensions on my browsers.
Okay.
But if you want, I can go find what the university usually uses for that very purpose when we're teaching live.
If
the
you
purpose
want
of grabbing something just made, and I can share it with you.
Yeah, you can share it with us, or you can put it in the survey, and I'll make sure that I include it in the in the materials that with a follow-up email. These are really, really great, very interesting questions, because we have this technology. We're on a screen, so why not be able to record it? And I record rehearsals all the time for these purposes as well. Carly, did you have something?
Yeah, I had two quick things, kind of piggybacking off of Emmy. When it was like forward, like when they were direct addressing and like really framed well in the camera, like I reacted as an audience member. When people were further away or a lot of movement or moving around the chair, that kind of fell a little flat for me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't feel as engaged. Second, I have lots of feelings about backgrounds. When they work, they're awesome. Rachel had an amazing moment that was just like that beautiful mistake where she did this and the background kind of crumpled and like there was light behind, like you could see the door behind her, which was beautiful. But then other ones like Carla and Lydia, I felt like I kept losing them in the background. And while that can be cool, it's really hard to, I feel like with those backgrounds, know when those things are going to happen and they become the like beautiful mistakes or the completely like losing someone in a background and there's no way to kind of control that.
Yeah. I've learned a lot about backgrounds just from us playing around a little bit, which has to do with really good lighting. Because if you don't have really good lighting, it's not going to pick you up and set you apart from the background. I agree that there are some moments that it can be a beautiful accident, but I think we have a lot to learn where the backgrounds go. Yeah.
I also had a friend who bought a green sheet, not a green screen, but just a green sheet and put it behind them. And that background then works really, really well.
Okay.
Or even just a regular sheet because you're having the same color as opposed to the background trying to pick out all the different colors in your space. So even if it's just a sheet behind, I've seen those work better, and you also don't look as much like a floating head.
Yeah, we'll have to experiment with that. Amazon's probably going to be out of green sheets next week, so thanks to us. Okay, we have a few more minutes. Yeah, Carl?
So I agree with Carly. I had all kinds of feelings about backgrounds and about what I would do when you try to transition this format into a classroom context.
Yeah.
Maybe green sheets are just a built-in expense for the course or something like that.
Right.
Thank you so much to the actors for letting us watch you go through this process. I feel like I learned so much watching you do this in real time. I had a question about the way that physical work free of vocal or audio cues works in this context. So in the studio, putting bodies together in space and letting people respond to each other organically without a whole lot of direction from the curator getting in the way usually produces all kinds of amazing things. I wonder, does that work less well for you as devisers through this medium? Is it more helpful when you have words attached, or you have clearer parameters framing your physical relationship to each other, because you don't have a physical relationship in this space?
Rachel?
I'd say it was very interesting knowing that like with theater, you know, you can see everything around you. There's that whole concept of anything around you is visible. Here it's just this space. So trying to think of things to either take up the space or make it something to invite someone into that space was really interesting. And knowing that I could like I couldn't reach them, but I could reach for them, made that connection more tangible than it would be actually tangible for some reason. Yeah.
Carla?
And just a disclaimer, we know each other, and we've worked together for some years. So I think, and this is a blessing that I think we all three have, is we just have a connection, and we worked with Kendra before, Lydia and I. We just kind of have an organic thing that kind of happens when we, because I say that because it happened while we were doing this. I just went into what I've done before with them. I was like, oh, okay, it's time for us to do what we do. And it just went straight to that. And I think that's what the last part of it felt the truest to me, being with them. Do you understand what I mean? So it felt the truest. Like I could like feel the four of them. Like even I could even hear when Kendra and Rachel were doing theirs, separate from Lydia and I doing theirs, and it all felt like it went together. You know, and I don't know if that's because we worked together, but I just know that I felt it just felt a natural, very natural.
It's hard for me to really, I want to give you an honest answer, but I'm not sure if my answer is jaded right now because we've been quarantined. Do you know what I mean? So like this feels wonderful to me, but I don't know how I would feel if I had the option of being in person with them too. But right now this is great for me and I'm so grateful for it. But I don't know if I would choose this versus, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't think I can give you an honest answer to it. But I mean, I can tell you I had fun today, so.
Can I just ask for an addendum, which was specifically, did you feel like the work where you are prompted either with words you brought to it or from the director sort of giving you adjustments in real time was more profitable, felt more connected than the work where you were just asked to explore physically without someone speaking or without your own words brought to it?
For me, yes. But I'm also the type of actor that likes to be directed. Yeah, you know what I mean? So like,
me too.
So for me, yeah, when Carrie gave us, you know, specific directions, or when we were prompted to, you know, listen, react to each other, that worked better for me as an actor. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
It feels a little bit like a mix between theater and dancing, because you really, you can't always just like dance free for all. You're gonna run into each other, whereas theater, you can kind of do that, but having sort of, you're gonna stand here, you're gonna stand here, or sort of this beat, you do need a little bit more instruction with it.
Okay, well, thank you so much, everyone, for your feedback. I really hope that this will give you a lot to think about, and that we'll hear more from you in the survey that I'll be sending all of you for follow-up. If anything else, kind of epiphanies, or if you're like, hey, I would love to see you try this. We do have a couple of tasks set out for next week, but I'm still thinking about how we're going to accomplish that. And obviously, you know, some of the things we tried today, we would see, oh, those trees don't work. Let's try a different virtual background, you know, but I didn't want to spend an entire hour doing every single tiny thing. So, you know, a lot of this is, okay, that didn't work, or mental note. Anyway, so thank you all so much for joining us again. Keep in touch with us. We'll see you next week after they've been given some more homework, some new and different things, hopefully with under your influence. And have a great week. And let's keep figuring out how to make theater.
Thank you.
Bye. See you all next week.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Well, that was fun. Thanks for jumping in, Katie.